QPR, QPR, this one Rangers are on the up and up. QPR, QPR, now we're heading for European Cup.
Hello and welcome to the QPR podcast. I'm David Fraser. I am joined by three other QPR fans to discuss the issues of the week, as they say. So all four of us are the four who founded the podcast. So to my right is Paul Finney of Independent Rs.
All right.
First appearance of 2017.
It is indeed. I feel like I haven't seen you guys for ages.
I know. It's been great.
All right. I was going to say I've missed you, but all right. Carry on.
So the rumours of you moving on in the transfer window are unfounded, and you're here to stay, and you wish to reaffirm your commitment to the podcast tonight.
David, I'll be honest with you, and I mean this. I've enjoyed my time at the podcast. Obviously, you know, with a dog and two cats to think about, you know, you have to think of your future. And if another offer comes in or some pedigree chum, then I might.
You've got to look after your family.
You've got to, and you know, if I don't want to leave, don't get me wrong, but if an offer comes in, then you have to consider it.
You're not going to go on strike, are you?
It's tricky.
But if the celiac show come calling, then you got to consider everything.
I've heard the Chelsea podcast want an alternative voice.
There's always someone that goes too far, the joke, isn't there? There's always one that goes too far. How long do you reckon that lasted, the Chelsea podcast? Seriously, about 3 seconds?
I don't know. Maybe we should find out one day.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the dulcet tones of the Portuguese dreamboat, the Robbie Williams of the boy band here, Chris Mendes.
Hello, thank you.
Hello,
I'll take
Chris.
that. Robbie's doing well at the moment.
Which stage of Robbie Williams, though? Was that with his porky years?
No, sort of first phase, take that. No, maybe you're right.
Yeah.
Also, your first appearance of 2017.
It is good to be back after 3 wins in a row. Glory hunter.
So your boss kept you late at work last week, didn't he?
I know, yeah, doing boxing work. But you know,
You're here now.
Yeah.
There's a podcast coming for you.
Hey?
There's a podcast coming from you.
May have had some interest from China, but
okay.
I don't want to get into it.
We'll talk later in the pub.
Yeah.
And last and least,
Thanks for that.
from only joking, from BT Sport, Chris Charles.
Hello. I have been on the podcast, so you didn't say any rubbish about me.
No. Okay.
Is it anyone? No, but someone might have been a bit. I mean, be fair, Chris has got the best voice amongst us all. To be fair, the most most professional, down to earth.
He's the experienced broadcaster.
I'm sorry. So has anyone come in for you, like BT Sport or something?
Yeah, the place where I actually work, you mean? Yeah.
You could do the games. You could do the Premiership games. They're awful, aren't they? I mean, Michael Owen. I mean, seriously. I mean,
he works for BT
You
Sport.
really expected me to answer that?
They got a good host.
Yeah. Who's that?
Mark Pugach.
Oh, yeah.
But Michael Owen's dreadful, isn't he? I mean, he makes Philip Neville look really, really good.
Anyway, should we get on with the podcast?
Yeah, let's get on with the podcast. You can follow us on Twitter at QPR Pod. Listen to all our old episodes at qprpod.co.uk. Follow us on Facebook. We have an interview coming up a bit later with Leroy Rosenior, who played for both clubs ahead of Saturday's fixture against Fulham. But before that, we've got plenty to talk about. First of all, thank you for the beers. To Andy McDonald. You can go on our website and you can buy us the beers each week. So thank you, Andy. But he has a personal story to tell. And he emails in. Andy emails in, "Hi guys, I said hello to Paul Finney on the H&C, Hammersmith and City line on Sunday. Couldn't believe it. I thought I recognised the voice. Would love to have had a proper yarn with him." Presumably he couldn't get a word in edgeways. "Listen to the podcast every Tuesday without fail. I'm from New Zealand, currently living in London. My father, born and bred Kiwi, grew up loving Stan Bowles from watching him on TV, and so we have followed QPR ever since. I've organised 24 all Kiwis of all of us to go to the Fulham match this Saturday." Wow.
I'm available.
That's pretty
I'm
good.
up for that transfer.
Purchased all the tickets in the R block. For a lot of them, it's their first live English football match, hoping they will become QPR supporters. Enjoy the beers. Cheers, Andy.
See, what happened? I was visiting my mum in St Mary's, as you do, and when they're in there, like, there's no point good if they're not. And this guy comes on with the QPR top thing, and my Lily is going like, "Oh, for God's sake," because she's 15 now, she's getting to that age. "Don't speak to him. Don't mention QPR. You just embarrass me, and I look stupid." Like, well, no one knows you. How is that going to work? Anyway, she said, say nothing, all right? Say nothing. So I'm sitting there under my breath going, you are. So I didn't hear anything. She's going, oh my God. So in the end, Andy said, oh, are you Finney for the podcast? And I was like, yes, and she wouldn't let me talk to you. So he probably thinks I'm very strange. So I apologise, Andrew, for that. But
How was she after he said that?
she was mortified. Someone in her school has asked her, said, is your dad Paul Finney? She went, no. Not me, it's somebody else.
Wow.
She's just like, no, don't. Cause
Who would ask her that? I'm presumably a QPR fan.
Yeah,
who
there is.
listens to the podcast.
It's one of the school, but she's like, no, it's not different. But Irish guy, sports QPR, yeah, different dad. And she's embarrassed by me. I don't know why.
God, no idea, mate.
I would love to. I'll have a chin wag with you.
Why would anyone be embarrassed at you?
But even I went to Belfast the other week and I was at the airport and some guy was like, "Oh, you're from the QPR podcast." He went over to see Glen Torn as well.
Has your daughter got any?
I mean, he's touting for that transfer, isn't he?
Has your daughter got any friends who support Chelsea?
Jesus, what is that with you in Chelsea today? Jesus, have you like De Costa, whatever it is, agent or something, going to China with him or something? Yes,
Is it time for the R's end yet?
She has. Fair enough. Her best friend, who is a fella, and who's 15, is actually having a trial with QPR, but he's a Chelsea fan.
What? Oh.
There's time for him. Should we actually move on to QPR? Thanks, Andy.
But thanks,
for the
Andy,
beers.
for saying hello anyway. I'm sorry I couldn't speak, but as an embarrassment to my daughter.
So Thursday's game.
Brilliant.
Thursday's game. So we sit here on Monday night. 4 days on, is it? I don't know. 5 days on. 4 days on. What a great result. Who would like to talk first?
Can I just say something first about that game? All three of you. Could anyone work out the formation when you saw the team sheet and think, it's interesting?
Not really, but I haven't been able to do that much this season at all, to be honest.
I didn't really look at the team sheet. I just get sick of people moaning about it on Twitter, so I just thought I'll just watch it from the start of the game, and it was great pretty much all the way through. They didn't cause us any trouble at all. I think it played in our favour having it on a Thursday on this occasion because the crowd, there was not much atmosphere, so being at home for them, I don't think it really played to their advantage.
Yeah, I thought that's like when we played on the Thursday, the same thing.
But that's not to take anything away from QPR's performance. I thought it was like the best we've played all season, apart from the first game of the season.
I thought that for me personally, I looked at it and thought, ooh. And you're right, you go on Twitter and everyone's negative. I'm not posting for a little while on Twitter because I'm fed up arguing with people, so I'm just reading it.
That's not true. You're so obviously going to post on Twitter
No.
on a regular basis.
I know, but let me just be a hypocrite.
Okay, fine. Fine.
And I actually think we broke them down brilliantly. Our pressing was superb.
This is the high pressing game that was promised
Under Jimmy
all
Floyd.
season by
Jimmy
Jimmy Floyd.
But Holloway, I mean, and not only that, how good is Hall in that interchangeable position?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let me get this right. He's in midfield when we have the ball, and in central defence when we don't have the ball.
Yes.
Is
That's,
that right?
that's basically it, yeah.
He's played the Steve Morrow rule. No, I'm joking. It's working, though, isn't it?
How good is Wozniak?
Polish Pele.
Yeah.
Showek, I think it is.
Is that?
Well, I think so. I don't
I've been
know.
speaking to my Polish friends, and I'm not sure.
Oh, right. Well,
What do they say?
That's
What do
No,
they say?
I'm only joking.
Was I see.
He hasn't got any friends. But he's doing something we haven't had for a while. He's actually getting into really good positions, looking up and putting it to blue and white hoops.
Yeah, I mean, he did. He
Not on
was
Thursday.
doing
Not
that.
on Thursday.
He was doing that earlier on in the season, to be fair. He had a little spurt, 3 or 4 games, but what happened was he'd sort of play well and then mysteriously be taken out again, then he'd be put in. So, but he's getting a run of games now, and I think that's really helping him. And I mean, if they gave out awards for the Player of the Year now, then he'd have it nailed on, I think.
Well, no, Smithies would win it.
No, as in 2017.
The last
absolutely,
fortnight.
yeah.
Yeah, basically. yeah,
Player of the calendar, yeah.
yeah,
It
absolutely.
was good to see 2 young players performing well. Darnell Fernlong coming back into the team, and Ryan Manning, who it seems he's been doing really well since he came into the team.
It's really, do you know what? And that there's a lesson for any youth team player of a young Rand, because a few weeks ago he was told it might not work for him at QPR.
So the lesson is stick it out and the manager will change sooner or later.
Yeah, because Ian Holloway was actually a big defender of him. So well, let me see what he's like first. And he's had faith in him. He's gone in, so it just shows you.
I like the way they call him Young Ryan. Sounds a bit like Brian Clough there.
Jesus did, didn't they?
It did a little bit, yeah. But he's had 3 wins.
That pass on Thursday.
Oh, fabulous.
Super
wasn't it?
light. Was that
I don't
84
even
light?
get the argument that it wasn't a pass. There's no way
I
in
think
the world it was
the
a shot.
commentary said, fell rather fortuitously to Jamie Mackey. Or
I
something
noticed
similar.
that it was Danny Higginbottom, and
What?
it was completely wrong. It was like a no-look pass, and he just
And the Reading
misjudged it.
Twitter feed said something
Oh,
like
well.
fortuitous goal, shot, scuffed
Yeah.
shot,
Really?
fell to Mackey, something like that.
No.
But
way.
I mean, Manning now that's 3 starts, 3 wins. He's sort of like Jack Rodwell in reverse, isn't he? Really? So I think we've got to keep playing him whatever. But as I said last week, and after his first couple of games, there was a few murmurings like in the crowd, saying because he misplaced the pass, we did this and that. As I said last week, you just got to give him time.
Seems to be a passer.
They're the kind of
he's
things
playing. He's playing the Peyton Manning role
yeah.
potentially.
Yeah, pun number 1.
It's ridiculous that a few moans and groans when a young player misplaces a pass. They're the kind of things you expect from young players. You just have to give them enough games to adjust.
Well, exactly, yeah.
But that's modern football, isn't it? It's like MASH. It's got to be instant. You've got to be instantly brilliant, instantly wonderful. But some players can take years to develop, and you better stick with him. But he looks like he could be a wee gem if he gets his chance. Of course, there's rumours that we're talking about Morrison coming into that, and I guess that'll be the position if we do sign him that he'll fill. That'll be an interesting one.
Well, I hope not. It's weird with Morrison because 2 weeks ago, when we were on that dreadful run, I said he was coming back, I'd have snapped your arm off because I thought, we're just desperately lacking that creativity. But now, on this winning run, not so sure. What do
You're still going to need players like that.
Yeah,
aren't
no,
you?
I know.
Is he a bad egg or a good player?
Well, this is what I'm coming to. It's more a case of the spirit looks good. Everyone seems to be playing for the manager now. We've got carted out all the people who are on the big money. You just wonder whether Morrison coming in might sort of upset the apple cart a bit.
Oof.
What? I don't really have an answer.
No,
to that.
I mean, I don't either. Because he might be good. I never heard anything of any dressing room unrest caused by him.
No.
Oh, he's completely insane. He is completely. There's no question about it. The lad is absolutely insane.
Right,
But it's
our lawyers are watching.
listening. And that's maybe not. But then that'll be down to how Holloway can control that and
Well,
engineer
Holloway
that.
seems to be a pretty good judge of character, doesn't he? Almost a better judge of character sometimes than he is of ability, and he's not the sort. He hasn't got a
Interesting.
particular track record of importing bad eggs,
No.
has he?
We've got to give Les Ferdinand a bit of credit as well. I know he's taken a bit of stick over the last 6 months, most of which I think probably been unjustified. And I know he doesn't pick the team, but we had 4 youth players starting, not 2 starting, 2 coming on Thursday.
Although he got told he was binned out a couple of weeks ago, wasn't he,
Is
Manning?
that Ryan Manning?
Well,
By who?
The regime.
well, no, just I think it was common knowledge. He was told that his future may lie elsewhere.
Why was that though?
But
Because they didn't.
I don't know. I wasn't there.
No, I just mean, I wonder, did they not see enough in him, or?
Moments change lives. He had his sliding door moments, I guess. But Holloway came in and said, "I'll give you a
Nice.
go,"
Right.
and I guess that just shows you the nature of football. Like anyone's.
I've never heard you sort of quote like Gwyneth Paltrow cultural reference before, but here we have it. This is you for
Bit of a worry, that.
2017.
But I mean, to be fair, yes. I mean, those kids. I mean, these guys take years in the process. It's not just something that's done in 6 weeks, 6 months, or
No.
a year. It's quite a long development. And at last, we've got some kids coming through, and that can only be a good thing for the club as a whole. And we always take more pride in our own, don't we?
Exactly. I mean, you've got there's Kakai as well, and Hammerlinen, Easy. I've probably pronounced all of those wrong. But,
No, I don't think so.
and then we got the guy who went to Barnsley, Cole, we'll call him. I mean, we got some money for him, didn't we?
Yeah,
Pekwa.
Yeah.
yeah, and Comley, who
I don't know much about him.
fantastic QPR career this season. He came back for about 10 seconds and went out on loan again, didn't he?
But that's the nature of these kids. I mean, if you remember, you talk about sliding doors moments. Les Ferdinand, of course, was going to Turkey. Everyone knows that. And,
Yeah.
his career before that wasn't very glamorous at QPR, and it wasn't looking like it was going to work out. So it just shows you, I'd rather take punts and people like that than the likes of Sandro and stuff and Leroy Fer. I think we're in a different page now, thank
Totally.
God.
Well, of course, it shows. Sorry, Chris. It shows that Steve Gallen must have been doing something right with the youth system that he developed, because all these players, these are all his players, right?
Well, I think Manning was Redknapp's, if I'm right, if I'm being honest. I think Redknapp signed him, But most of them are. But then, I get accused of being biased towards a Gallen, so I'm saying nothing. But he was sacked for not bringing players through, and lo and behold, the players are coming through. I guess that's sold it all.
It's good. It's good to see. I think Holloway's finally putting his stamp on the team, and he said after the game against Reading that he felt there was a couple of players that didn't want to be at the club, and he was glad. He was kind of like he felt kind of relieved to get them out of the way. So I know it's quite easy to say that after a brilliant away win, but hopefully things start to improve, carry on improving.
What's Sandro thinking? I wonder what his time at QPR. I wonder what will Sandro's memory be from QPR apart from look at his bank balance.
He's a great record in the League Cup.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah. See, who are these bag eggs? Let's not name names. That's probably
I mean, the bad eggs. That was a Joey Barton thing. That was in his era, wasn't it? He was talking about then. I think
that was Barton and Tarapt, wasn't it?
Yeah,
they were the bad.
Well, no, Barton was the one who said he was the one who coined the phrase. So
I mean, interesting because he wasn't
unless he was talking about himself.
Well, no. Quite often one deflects the
Rab
responsibility elsewhere, don't they?
Maybe.
Just because Joey Barton coined the phrase doesn't mean he wasn't a bad egg.
No.
But I think he meant Tarapt, didn't he?
I think the Joey Barton that plays for Burnley is different to the Joey Barton we had.
Yeah, I mean, he's scoring free kicks to start with.
Yeah.
And a lot of people wanted him back at Rangers straight away afterwards. Get him back. We should have got him back after Glasgow Rangers.
I think he did score 2 free kicks for us, didn't he? If memory serves, but maybe, or is it 1?
Okay, well, we've got to get on with our interview now. So we are playing Fulham on Saturday, and we have a man who has played for both clubs in the mid to late 80s. On the line now is Leroy Rosenior.
Hi, Leroy. How you doing?
I'm good, thank you.
What are you up to these days?
I work for. I'm freelance media, but I do a lot of work for the Premier League channel. I do lots of live telly. Been doing that for 7 years. I do 5 days a week of live programming and production there. So I've been there 7 years now.
Yeah, I miss you on the Football League show actually, because that once that switched over, you were a regular on there, weren't you?
Yeah, well, I did that for 6 years. That was hard work. Those were the very late nights, and that was hard work. But it was good, and good while we did it. We enjoyed it. But I thought when it went over to Channel 5, it was just about the right time for me because they were that's hard work. That is the 72 clubs, and but it was good fun.
Now, I was just going to ask because obviously you played for both clubs. Did you ever play in a QPR Fulham derby? The only ones I had you down for were possibly the 1-1 draw at Craven Cottage and QPR's 3-1 win at Loftus Road in 1983.
I'm glad you told me that because I couldn't remember. I wouldn't. I wouldn't remember anyway. I mean, there was always a good chance that we played in one of these games. The two clubs who, the recent weeks have been good, haven't they? I'm just looking at the records. The last time either of you got beat was actually against Brighton.
That's right.
And Ollie's, picked it up. I think it looks like he's got rid of some players, which I thought, was always sometimes just as important as getting players in, because that can cause a problem having players who they're not there, don't want to be there. He seems to have moved a few players on and starting to change things around to what he wants. And I thought it was a good appointment when Ollie got the job. We all know what Ollie's about, enthusiasm and energy, and it just seemed that's what QPR needed more than anything. They needed obviously and the experience as well, the Championship, and he's got all those ingredients.
Do you think, as well as because we know all about the enthusiasm, he's got that in bundles, but do you think? I mean, in terms of tactics, he's fairly astute because he doesn't get much credit for that. But on Thursday night against Reading, it looked like the game plan worked down to a T.
Yeah, well, brilliantly, didn't it? I mean, they've got a very good side, but had some really good performances. That they're going to dominate possession. And you think that Ollie is all about, gung-ho, but he's not. He's been around a long time, Ollie. I've known him. Obviously, I live in the Bristol area. Ollie, we worked against each other when I was at Bristol City, and I was coaching at Bristol City, and Ollie was at Bristol Rovers. And he's been around a long, long time, so he knows different systems. He knows how to motivate players, and tactically he knows how to approach each game on its merits. But you've got to have the players to do that. And I just felt when he first went to QPR, the kind of the messages or the noises I was getting out of QPR was that he wasn't happy with the personnel. That maybe not in case of their quality, but certainly lacking balance and not being able to do what he wanted them to do. And I think he'll address that. And I think although he's been out of the game, he would have been studying the game and studying players, not only in his role at Sky. When you work in television or into football, you always take your black book round with you. I've been doing it for several years now, and I've always got a black book. And if people ring me up and say, "What do you think of this player?" I've always got an answer. And so he would have had his finger on the pulse and would know exactly what was going on. And I think recent results have shown that. So there's no point saying QPR in a false position, because they're not. The Championship is a very difficult division, and they're not in a false position. They are. It is what it is. But I think that with the players that Ollie's got and the players that he looks like he's going to be trying to get in, and with him at the helm, I think they'll be shooting up the table.
What I was going to ask you, Leroy, in your time in football, especially with your son being involved with Brighton and that, what was it like when you signed for QPR with Jim Gregory there and stuff when you were a kid? Was it daunting? Has football changed much, do you think, to what Liam's gone through?
It was a funny move for me because it came right out of the blue. I was at Fulham. I was still very, very raw. I'd come from, I played for England schoolboys, so I didn't come the natural way through, apprenticeship and stuff like that. I was doing my A-levels, and I got a 3-month trial at Fulham. I went to Fulham, signed a pro contract after 2 months. I was still learning my trade when I went to QPR. And then to go to QPR and to play on the plastic as well, when you're trying to learn the game, was very difficult. And I had not the greatest of times at QPR. I felt that, you had Gary Bannister in there, John Byrne, and Michael Robinson was there, more experienced players, and I never really felt I'd got the opportunity, and I was a different sort of player to them, but I was still learning my trade. So it was a frustrating time for me at QPR, even though we got to the Milk Cup final and against Oxford, I sat on the bench on that one, and so it was a frustrating time for me at QPR. So when I went back to Fulham, that's when I really found my feet, because I was given the responsibility of being the striker, the number one striker, and that's what I needed at that time. And QPR was, we had some very good players there, Terry Fenwick and Steve Wicks and John Gregory. There's some really good players there. So it was a difficult time for me at QPR, but I enjoyed it, and it taught me a lot. When you have difficult times, that's when you learn the most. And I learned the most at QPR, and that put me in good stead to go to Fulham and score goals. Went there for 8 months and ended up at West Ham. So, it was a right move for me at the time, but it didn't work out for me.
And also, the Milk Cup final never actually happened, but carry on.
Well, it never happened. The best thing that happened there was Jim Smith with he brought out the monkey on the coach of the way to the ground, and the monkey told us we were going to win 3-0. So the monkey got it wrong as well.
Sorry?
Hang on. What's the monkey?
Monkey?
On the way to the ground, on the way to the Twin Towers, Jim Smith was obviously the manager at that time. He got a puppet out at the front of the coach, and it started doing this little act where the monkey kept on telling us how we were going to win 3-0.
So as in, like, he was a ventriloquist. He gave a go at trying to be a ventriloquist.
Exactly. He did a ventriloquist act with a monkey. The thing is, though, we had the best party after anyway. But
I thought you meant a real monkey.
We had the best before and the best after, but you're right, the middle bit was best forgotten.
Just try to get Jim Smith in the head as Roger the Corsi moment.
Well, of course you did. You are memorable to QPR fans, despite you saying you didn't have a very good time there, because you scored in the famous 6-0 against Chelsea,
which did happen.
Mm-hmm. That certainly did happen. I remember that, and Chelsea was one. Every time I play against Chelsea, no matter what a team, I seem to do all right, and that was very much. I think it was a sunny day. It was on at Loftus Road. We absolutely battered them, and they were a good side. They had good players, and that doesn't happen too often. And that was a really memorable day. I suppose that was the biggest. Was that the biggest win against Chelsea in QPR's history? I should think.
Yeah, it is. But also, it totally derailed their championship season as well, because they were doing really well. We absolutely mullered them. It was brilliant.
Yeah, it was good. It was good, and you always savour those. That I certainly remember.
And if you hadn't. Sorry, Leroy. Sorry, I was going to say if you hadn't scored, we wouldn't be talking about a 6-0 win all those years ago. It'd be a 5-0 win, which doesn't quite have the same ring to it.
It makes all the difference. 5-0 doesn't sit that as well as 6-0 is a real thrashing.
The weird thing, Leroy, though, that could have been 9 or 10, couldn't it? We every time we went forward, we looked like scoring. Every time we got the ball, we put them under pressure. Steve Francis was still having nightmares, I think.
That's right. Look, still Steve Francis in goal. Yeah, I remember that. And we played some excellent football, and we were capable of that. at QPR. And I don't know if you remember, we had a great home record, didn't we? And then we'd go away from home, and we didn't win too many games away from home, away from the plastic. But we knew how to play on that pitch, and especially that day, we moved the ball brilliantly. That was certainly a memorable day in the QPR shirt.
Leroy, I wanted to ask you about football in West London in the Championship at the moment. At some point in your career, you've been involved with all of those clubs, QPR, Fulham, Brentford, and there's only 7 points separating those three clubs in the table at the moment. I just thought, which of those three teams do you think are best positioned to succeed over the next few seasons?
And if the answer's not QPR, keep going until you get it right.
One thing I'm honest, and I think I see Les. Les comes in and does a little bit of work with us at Premier League, so I see Les on a regular basis. At this moment in time, you look at Fulham and you think they're in a good place. You know, they've had a really good run of results. They, you know, like QPR, have been in the Premier League quite recently, and they seem to have found some stability. Ollie's just gone in there, and Ollie needs to find his feet, and he needs to be given time to find his feet. And so I would suggest that, you know, at this moment in time, you know, Brentford, obviously under Dean Smith, I think he's an excellent bloke, excellent manager. You know, Brentford haven't been there as yet, haven't been in a situation that they've been able to maybe, you know, get into the Premier League. So, you know, on paper at this moment in time, it looks like Fulham are best positioned to do that. But what I will say is that I'm absolutely delighted that you know, the clubs are starting to look up. You know, Brentford you know, when they in this division, that, you know, I think Brentford fans would be delighted to be, you know, playing their trade in this division and playing up against the likes of QPR and Fulham. But for Fulham and QPR, it is all about getting back in the Premier League for me, and then I think they're sorely missed. But when you are in a downward spiral like Fulham and QPR have been, you could easily drop into League One. And you've seen it with many clubs, and that was a real fear for me with both my old clubs, the old clubs I played for, in all honesty. Obviously now I don't think it's going to happen. Now, it's a real shame to be saying that on a QPR podcast, but it's reality. Yeah. And they now hit, I think they've hit rock bottom. They're now starting to rebuild sensibly, with a view to, you know, getting back in the Premier League as soon as they can. And I think that needs to be the attitude amongst QPR and Fulham fans. But at this moment in time, you have to say that Fulham, the position in the league, they're 8th in the league compared to QPR 17th. I think they've only lost the one game in I don't know how many. They're on a really good run of form. But I don't see that being far. I think that's just around the corner for QPR. I think Ollie will get them into a way of playing. As I said, he knows this division inside out, and I don't think that's far away from QPR. But at this moment in time, you know, Fulham are in a better situation.
Leroy, before we go, I just wanted to take you back to that fateful day in 1986. I think you came on as sub, didn't you, for Martin Allen?
Yeah, I did. I came on as sub. And I think the physio said, "Go and make a name for yourself." I think we're 2-0 down at the time. So cheers for that one. But it was a horrible day.
Yeah.
You know, people say, you know, you go to Wembley, and my better memory of Wembley is when I went there as a caretaker manager of Bristol City with my son Liam, and we won. And the reason why it's a memorable day is because we won.
Yeah,
it was an awful. You know what I mean? It was an awful day.
Yeah.
Because you don't go to Wembley to lose, and so I haven't got I've got a box upstairs with loads of memorabilia. I don't know where that losers medal is. I felt like I hardly took part in the game. To be honest, I think all the players who played felt like they hardly took part in the game. We went there as favourites and got absolutely mullered, and so it wasn't a great day, and it wasn't something that you want to reminisce about, if you know what I mean. So, you know,
Chris thought he'd ask you anyway.
Yeah, no.
Thanks for that, Chris.
Sorry, mate. The point I was coming to.
In a better position doesn't mean you have to do that to me.
The point I was coming to was that you came on for Martin Allen, who said that he was. He said that he was probably Oxford's best player on that day because he couldn't make a tackle or a header.
Have you had a bad day today,
Chris?
No.
I was just going to say his nickname was Mad Dog. Was he really as mad as the nickname suggests?
Yes. Yes, he was. Martin was Martin. I get on really well with Martin, obviously. I know he's done really well. I think he's carved out a career for himself in the lower divisions as a manager, and I think that's really difficult. And it's a real shame that, you know, managers in the lower leagues don't get the chances that they deserve. But Martin was Martin, And yes, he was eccentric. He still is, and but he was himself, and I like that about him. He was, and he wanted to win, and he was honest as well. That's the one thing you say about Martin Allen. He's straight as a die. So. Yeah, he was a mad dog. I think he would admit that, but he's calmed down a little bit now. I know he had a little bit of heart problem recently, and he needs to calm down as well. And I'm glad he's managing that, and I'm glad he's. I think he's just moved to Eastleigh, hasn't he, from Barnet? And,
right.
But he's a good lad, Martin, and he's great company as well. And there's a lot of footballers I could say that about, and Martin's one of them.
Nice.
Leroy, thank you. I have got loads of questions about this black book that you mentioned, but I think
about what? Sorry,
the black book that you mentioned. How does that work?
Yeah. I've got a black book. I've got a black book with names of players because I do so much work now in the media. I mean, I'm starting the Cup of Nations this week, and if there's a player that I recognise, a young player, I put him in my black book and just put a mark around it and put a date by it as to when I've seen him.
Who's the most recent name in there?
Most recent name in there.
Any QPR players in there?
Most recent name in there is Ryan Manning. That's
there you go.
That's the one.
I'll put that in there now. I'll put that in there.
There you go. You heard it first.
I'll put that in there now. But the other thing I've been doing is writing the book as well. I've just finished the book.
Excellent.
So and that comes out on February the 28th. So I've been busy doing that as well. So
well, give it a plug, mate. What's it called and where what's it about?
It's called It's Only Banter, and it's about my father, myself, and Liam, 3 generations of my family. And it's not just a football book about just the stories about football. It's about my dad's life when he came over here, my life in football and other things, and Liam's life, and lots of things around that. I've had lots of people keep telling me I've had a very interesting write and trying to push me to write it, so I've managed to do it, and it comes out on February the 28th. As I said, it's called It's Only Banter. It's supposed to be, it's a social commentary, and it's one for, it's not just about for football, it's for schools as well, because it gives us a history of what has happened in this country over from the 50s right through to now, with football as a background and lots of other things. So I had lots of stories to tell, not only my father, but playing for Sierra Leone and playing in the African Cup of Nations, managing in the African Cup of Nations, and when you put it on paper, I didn't realise I'd done so much, So I hope people find it interesting. It's slightly different from, I'm no Paul Gascoigne. I'm certainly no Wayne Rooney who writes an autobiography, every single year. I'm only going to do it once. So I hope people find it interesting for the right reasons, and it's really to kind of bring people together as well. It's got lots of incidents, racist incidents, things that have happened to me, good incidents, but it's about bringing people together and getting them to understand that we can come together and how to deal with those things in a positive way, which I try to do. So, yeah, I hope people like it and I hope people enjoy it.
Mate, that sounds like it's going to be a great read.
And hopefully, it'll pave the way for lots of other people to become managers and go on and do things, because there is a real lack of different cultures making it as far as a top table in football, and that needs to change.
That does need to change, but it needs to come both ways, because, yes, we need to encourage, people as ethnic minorities to get jobs, and there needs to be the pathway through for them as well. That's a massive thing. But I've also come across a lot of people who said, "No, I'm not doing that because there's not enough role models." So it's like the chicken and the egg, which comes first. You have to, if you come across difficulties, and we all know what it was like when I was playing the racism and the bananas being thrown at you. You either walk away, or you stand up to it and try and deal with it in a positive way and try and address it and address the situation, trying to get people to understand that what they're doing isn't right, and to then them to go and influence other people to get them to make sure that they don't do it. And that's always been my attitude. So when I was one of the few managers in the Football League, when I was managing at Torquay and Brentford, I think I was always one of 2 or 3. And I knew I was in a position of responsibility in terms of trying to get other people to come into the game. Then when I went into the media, I think there weren't many people of colour, on the BBC, Garth Crooks, but now I look at the media, look at television, I see loads of ex-players going on the media of colour, with different cultures, and but when I started, that wasn't the case, and so people always think that maybe we're not making progress, but when I look at where we were and where we are, we certainly are making progress. There needs to be a lot more made in terms of managers of colour, of ethnic minority, but we still need to be positive. We can't just complain about it. You know, it's all right complaining, but what's the solution? And I keep asking people that. I ask Liam that when he rings me up and says, "Oh, Dad, this and that," and I say, "Well, what's the solution?" And he usually comes up with a solution. And I say that to lots of young people. Don't just complain about it. Find the answer so we can all move forward.
Brilliant.
Well said, mate.
Leroy, thank you very much. Thank you very much.
No problem.
Please do come on
Pleasure.
again. And thanks for joining us.
When the
By
books
the way,
open.
I hope it's a draw at the weekend.
6-0 the Rangers. Will be another 6-0, big man.
Take care.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Cheers.
Thank you, Leroy.
Bye.
Thanks a million.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay. Quite a wide-ranging interview. In the
Oh,
end.
yeah,
It was
it
longer than
spoke
I
very
thought it was
well.
going to be.
Really good.
I think it's interesting how he was very cagey not to show preference to either Fulham or QPR. But...
Oh, I thought he showed clear preference
To-
to Fulham.
Oh, really?
I thought he was just polite. He was polite. He wasn't rude, but it's obvious his
Like,
heart's at Fulham
Well, no,
over
he's-
QPR.
No,
He was just quite honest about his time at QPR. It didn't go
I
as
think
well
that's,
as
I
it
think
did
that's
at
fine.
Fulham.
I mean,
Yeah,
no,
it was fine.
I
It
think
was
what he
fair.
said is that people like Johnny Byrne and Bannister and that, you know, were much better players because we were world class, and Fulham he got a chance because they were a bit rubbish.
and he also said that
Any Fulham fans listening, I make no apology.
Probably
that
not.
was the QPR was the biggest learning curve for him, so he could go well and go and play well for Fulham and West Ham.
The really weird thing is, look, I was talking to someone about this the other day. Actually, nobody at the time, even amongst their own fan base, realised how good Gary Bannister actually was as a main forward. If he was around now, he'd have been sold for 50 to 20 million, despite everything, because he was the absolute nuts as a striker.
I should say to any of our listeners who are under the age of 31, all those games, well, the Milk Cup final, which you don't want to watch, but also the Chelsea 6-0 is available on YouTube. And it's a very good watch. Before we go on to ours then, let's just do transfers, ins and outs. Well, we kind of covered last week Sandro, Poulter and Cherry going. I'm thinking back to the kit launch, when we had that kit launch and quite a few fans and fans groups got invited, and Poulter and Cherry launched the kit, and they've both gone, and Grant Hall was the third one.
Well, the
so-
kit's gone as well, so
Yeah, that's true.
Poulter, I think it's good business for the club, really. If Cherry's gone for 4 million plus, and we only paid, no, I don't know what we paid for him,
But
but
3.5.
making a profit on him is brilliant considering his form this season. And Poulter going for double what we paid for him again is brilliant considering he scored 10 goals in 40 odd games.
yeah, I think it's 1 in 5 his strike rate. And last week I know you sort of praised Poulter for his attitude and stuff, and I didn't really say a lot. I mean, I would go along with that. You know, he was the one player that did get the fans going, so I think he would be missed in that regard. But we do need somebody who's a little more prolific, I think.
Sandro,
Yes.
though, that's got to be a deal of the century, isn't it? Hey?
I thought Silla was really unlucky to get subbed off against Brighton. I know
So did he, by the look of it.
I know he went on to win the game, but you look at how dynamic his performance was there.
Brighton.
Sorry? Against Reading, sorry.
Reading,
Yeah.
Right.
Sorry, I was at Brighton. We didn't win that one.
Ward and Freeman. Danny Ward and Luke Freeman are the current favourites to come in.
Really good players. That would be good business. Really good business.
Yeah, I mean, Ward's got 10 goals in frankly rotten side this season.
Yeah.
In the Championship, not in League One. So I'd be very surprised if there's not others coming in for him. I mean, 1.2 million is I think what Dave Max said we'd had rejected for him.
Yeah, I'll be completely honest. I don't know if they're good signings or not because I haven't seen enough of them. But you'd just have to trust the club's judgment on it, even though we're letting players go now that we've signed. But the good thing is, if we do get those players, one of the criticisms back earlier in the season was that we weren't really doing very well because we had too many players who had no Championship experience. But these guys will know the league inside out, which
That's
is a
what
good
I mean.
sign.
Yeah.
I think we should hopefully loan out Washington as well. Maybe get some goals under his belt and see if he can get another move because it's not going to work for him at Rangers, is it? I mean,
It's only going to work for him if he plays up front in a two or whatever. And the thing is, if we're shunting him out on the left wing, then he's not going to get goals. That's the problem.
no. But it's going to be a big ask to get money back. But it doesn't matter. We got our money back and Poulter and more, and maybe that'll just.
And we're
kind of
signing
balance
the right players from the right types of levels and clubs. No more.
Which is why there was this question mark for me over Ravel Morrison. But
it. It's going to be
It's a
unbalanced.
short-term deal, so maybe
yeah, no.
he'll
Is
have
that
to prove
happening?
himself.
Is that happening?
Well, that's the word. He's going to be offered a short-term deal, but nothing's confirmed yet.
I'd like to see Doherty get a go. I really would. It's been hanging around for so long.
Yeah.
You think We're not in a position. We're not going to go up. We're not going to go down if we get some. We won't go down. We'll string enough results together. What a bit for him and Furlong. This should be a huge time, and I'd like to see both of them get some more games to see what they can do. Because Doherty is a good player. You just have to get a chance.
It's good to see Ben Gladwin score at the weekend as well.
It was good. I mean, I talked about that last week about, and I think now the shackles are off. He's not walking out onto the pitch, and every touch he's going to get booed by somebody.
Why was it, do you think?
Well, I think he had a couple of indifferent games, and like he was shanking a few into Rosed, and he's quite gangly on the ball, and I think maybe he wasn't played in the right position as well. And do you know what some of the QPR fans are like? I mean, some of the fans at any club, they like to have a scapegoat, and Ben Gladwin was the opposite to the flavour of the month, and and then now the shackles are off him. He's playing again. It might be because in League One, but he scored a belter of a goal. At the weekend, I don't know if you've seen it, but it's about 20 yards out, top corner. So I really hope he does well there. And as I said last week, I can't see him coming back here because why would you want to come back? And maybe he wouldn't be welcomed back by some fans.
But Furlong was brilliant, though, wasn't he, on Thursday?
He was fantastic.
Him and Joek together.
So
really well.
Just offered so much.
Looks more confident as well, doesn't he?
Totally, yeah. And I mean, I wasn't over keen when he went to Swindon loan. I'd like for him to stay here, but he looked. I mean, I rated him when he was in the Premier League, and no, I thought, and he just gives us that extra going forward. And for once, we were attacking with pace, and every time we got the ball, we looked like we make something out of it, which we haven't seen for ages.
Ours end.
I'll do mine first. After the Reading game, Ian Holloway had quite a frank interview on Sky where he said, I hope it's going to be a good weekend. He thought he might become a granddad for the first time because his daughter had 2 miscarriages last year. Oh, so I haven't heard any news about it, but it'd be good if the club, let us know, and just wishing him all the best and hope everything went well.
Okay.
Right. Well, first of all, my R's end. First of all, the club have rescued Valentine's Day. If you haven't seen that news today, the Burton game has been rearranged for Saturday the 28th. It was previously on the 14th.
Makes sense.
Of February. Makes sense. And also saves any awkward conversations about...
Well, I was planning a romantic pie and burger deal.
down at Loftus Road.
Yeah.
Do you think they moved that? Yeah. Do you think they moved that game because Lee Hoose's wife or partner said shift that game from Valentine's Day?
We need to be careful of wild rumours and speculation.
yes,
and clearly
right.
That would not happen. But hey, everyone's a winner.
Everyone's a winner. And the other one is John Sharp has been in touch, and his son George, who has been on the podcast. Wee George, Little George. Hello, George. He listens to us. He's I'm almost certain our youngest listener. It's his birthday.
Happy birthday, George.
He's 9 years old, and we wanted to wish you a happy birthday. So
only
birthday.
9.
It's Bobby Zamora's birthday today as well. 36.
Wee George will be the new George. The new John Watson. I'm telling you, that wee lad's got a big career for himself in stats and figures and football. I'm telling you, he knows far more than I will ever know. But happy birthday, fella! And we haven't sworn this week, just for you.
Yeah. Well, funnily enough, I've got a stat to end the show with. We've won more league games this year than Barcelona, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich and Liverpool put together.
See, that's the sort of stats I like. Yeah. Can we get that going?
Yeah. And I was just going to mention, we have 2 mentions. I'm doing a U here, Paul, sorry. First of all, Curtis Fleming. I think he's first team coach's title, but he's clearly a defensive coach as well. And he came in and everyone looked at his last 2 results with Hartlepool where they shipped 9 goals. And obviously, we in that 6-game run, he was getting quite a lot of stick. But in our last 3 games, we've kept 2 clean sheets.
So now he's the Messiah.
No, I'm not saying that.
He's no Franz Beckenbauer, football coach.
But maybe, I don't know, but maybe he deserves a bit of credit for helping to...
Why not? Everyone deserves credit.
Yeah. And, of course, Jamie Mackey. No, I haven't mentioned him. And again, he'd be in the run. He'd be joint with Shoek for Player of 2017, I think, because... He's been immense, and he looks like the old Jamie Mackey. In fact, better than the old Jamie Mackey.
Do you know what, Chris? I would go as far to say, get Donald Trump off Time Magazine Man of the Year and stick it on Jamie Mackey now, because he deserves it. Did you notice, by the way, I know it's yours, I'll let you come back to it in a second.
No, I've pretty much finished.
But on Thursday, when your man fouled him, Mackey went up to him at half-time and was laughing in his face and said, "Is that the best you can do?" And he was probably bring it on. And that's what we needed, someone to lead from the front, someone to be someone to beat Jimmy Mackie again, because he gets slaughtered a lot, Jimmy Mackie does, but he is just pure aggression, passion, and everything we need to do actually okay in this league. He might not be brilliant in the Premiership, but he works as...
And he's also not... He's been labelled like headless chicken a lot in the past, but I don't think, he's got his head back on again now, mate, because he was terrorising those Reading.
And he knows how to celebrate when you score against your former club.
Brilliant. Yeah.
Well, why not? I didn't understand that. You see that thing the next day? He's only on loan at Reading, for Christ's sake. And to be fair, they slaughtered him all that game, so he had every right to rub it up with them.
What would you do if Charlie Austin came back here with Southampton and celebrated in front of the loft?
I would fair play to him.
Be fine with it.
Charlie Austin, in fairness, was a QPR player. Jim Mackey was a Reading no-knee. And to be fair, when he did the kit launch a couple of years ago, he said it was great to be wearing the real hoops again.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying that.
Players should celebrate a goal they score regardless of who it's against. I mean, come on.
Unless it's an own goal.
Yeah.
I mean, the only person I've never seen celebrate was when Les scored
Sean
for
Wright
Newcastle.
Phillips.
No, when Les scored for Newcastle against Rangers, he didn't celebrate.
Yeah.
I remember him coming back. I remember that because that was really... Anyway, my hours end of the show is quite quick.
Oh, we've not done that? Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, go on.
And that is...
It's not about the inauguration, is it?
No, I can't spell that.
The inauguration.
Yeah.
Don't even... I can't trump that, and that's my last ever joke.
Yeah.
We've got, this is a terrible... It's going to be dark days ahead. Anyway, we'll be fine. I'm sure...
This is our last podcast in a pre-Trump world.
Oh, is it? I'm sure he'll be taking the piss.
It's been good knowing you.
Sorry, George.
Very good. Sorry, George.
Sorry, George, and you can't say
Get your dad to explain that one to you.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
Russian information. Anyway, thanks to everyone who sent messages about her mum. She's doing much better. And thank you for mentioning it last week, Chris, as well. I really appreciate it. But I had a mum with the fun in the hospital yesterday, which is, I shouldn't really admit this, and this sums up my mother and her attitude towards life, is she's been visited by the priest. So she's had a wee word with the priest. And the wee Jewish woman next to her hadn't had the rabbi yet. So my mum thought, what the hell, sent her over the priest. Priest did his thing. Rabbi turns up, and it's like, hello, how are you? Better, you all right? She goes, I've been seen. Not by me, you haven't, because I'm the only rabbi here. She goes, oh no, I've seen the priest, and we had a conversation, and myself and Veronica have decided it's more or less the same thing anyway, so it's all fine. And I've never seen a rabbi so confused in all my life in the
She's
hospital.
converting people.
He didn't stick one on the priest, did he?
No, and
that's all right.
do you know what? We can learn a lot from older people in hospital who have got who are fighting every day to stay on this planet, and it's a nice place to be. When all the world is horrible, sometimes spending a couple of hours in hospital, you see humanity in huge instalments. Anyway. But never mind that. Sorry, Mum. I mean, I love you, and I'm glad you're still
How
with
do
us.
we now segue to Fulham predictions from that?
This is where I'm going.
Yeah, okay.
Has anyone noticed? Now, lads, I'm being serious here. The rivalry with Fulham is a bit weird, don't you think? Because I don't remember growing up and really disliking Fulham at any level. We used to play them in the little pre-season friendly. We used to play them in the league
Well,
sometimes.
that's the thing. I mean, we hadn't had a huge history of playing against them in those days because they were like 4th division, weren't they, back in the day?
And there's nothing wrong with that, Chris. Everyone's got a
No,
place
I'm
in
not
life.
saying there is.
I really started to dislike them more, like when I paid over 50 quid to watch us lose there 6-0. That's when I really started to really annoy me.
Oh, yeah, that. Now, the thing is, we don't hit them. Brentford hit us, Fulham hit us, and we hit Chelsea. So, and
Chelsea aren't that bothered about us.
the best
to be
chant
honest.
I ever heard on going to Fulham was everyone going, the Rangers fans going down Fulham Park Road singing Tristan and Sebastian, we're coming for you. You will never beat that, but
No,
I reckon
doesn't scan that well, but yeah.
I reckon we'll do them Saturday, and I reckon it'll be 4-0. We owe them one, and I'm serious. We are going to trounce them on Saturday because they're doing well. They're coming down to the bush. We're going to show them proper passion, proper support, and we're going to batter them. I'm telling you.
Well, I work with a Fulham fan who claims, although I've not seen it anywhere, that someone's describing Fulham as the Rolls Royce of the Championship. But I think we're going to let their ties down on Saturday, and I'm saying 2-0.
I am going to inject some realism into this, and I think we're generally agreed that we're going to finish somewhere around mid-table, probably, maybe high up, maybe top half.
If we win 15 out of our last 20, we'll be in the playoffs.
But we're probably not going to do that. And I think the true meaning of transition is like, things developing and whatever. And so I can't see us winning 4 in a row. In which case, I will go for a 1-1 draw.
But David, I mean, I'm not being funny. They're going to come down here. They're going to be in their banter type terrible way because their banter is shocking. I don't really do banter at all, but Fulham's banter is the worst.
You don't.
Banter.
Yeah,
right. It's the worst. It is the worst, and it's shocking. Their support.
But we're not playing them at banter,
Yeah.
are we? It's All Banter by Leroy Rosenior, out in good bookshops soon.
Indeed.
We're not playing them at banter.
No.
We're playing them at football.
Yeah. Anyway,
I just hope
We
it's
have
better.
to finish this show
I just
at
hope
some point
I just hope it's
tonight.
better than the Brentford game.
This means everything to them. This is not just a cup final. This is a Champions League final. This is as good as being the UEFA Cup final. They hate us. Any QPR player listening to this, please beat them wee bastards and teach them a lesson that
Sorry,
we are the
George.
pride of West London. Sorry, George. And we will always be the pride of West London because we are West London and we are the only West London club. We are going to slaughter them 4-0, I'm telling you.
Cristiano Mendes, you're the only one who hasn't done a prediction.
Oh,
4-0, Chris, come on. Where's your spirit?
I think we might just get edged out of this one. I think we might just lose 2-1. But I think we'll play well.
Say goodbye to everyone on the microphone.
I'm disgusted by you. 4-0.
QPR, QPR,